Unmasking the Covered Me podcast. UTCM was birthed from me realizing that there is a greater me on the inside of me. The phrase "there's a greater you on the inside of you" means being above normal, understanding your worth, and being confident in knowing who you are. But the first person who has to realize that there's a greater you on the inside of you is you. In life, we all go through stages of the good, the bad, and the ugly, which leads us to our purpose and promise. UTCM is a platform where you get to share your story and your truth of unmasking moments that allows you to embrace all stages in your life. UTCM looks forward to many people being able to unmask, uncover, and unveil themselves on the podcast. Thank you for watching and joining us.
Hey, super excited, nervous, all the emotions that you can name, right, in a dictionary, put our name on it, right? Me and Princess.
Yes.
Before we jumped on, she's like, "My lighting is good. Is everything good? Is everything okay? Yeah, we good. We here. We made it."
Mind you, I'm gonna tell you, this look came together in okay, so I stopped cooking at 7 o'clock. I got in the shower, gelled something down, a little lip gloss, a little mascara, a little setup, and I was like, I gotta get on time. And then I went to use my other laptop, and it was like, you don't have the latest form. I said, oh, okay.
But not today. Okay, we here.
We don't have a backup. Thank you.
Right. We here. So I am super excited. Princess, first of all, I just love, every time I say your name, I'm like, Princess, I just love your name.
Oh, thank you.
But I just want to thank you so much for your willingness, to be a guest. Just to give a little backstory really, really quick. All right, wait, before I get into that, hey, welcome to UTCM. Season 4, episode 14.
Congratulations.
13, 14. It's season 4 though. Okay, somebody. I'm just super excited, and I thank everyone who watches, who texts me and sends me DMs and sends me messages. Thanking me for creating and birthing this platform. I appreciate you all. I really do, for all your support, all your love. But without him, none of this could be possible. So I got my tissues ready and everything, because I had just been a water bag for the past day. Now, last night I just did this releasing, and it just continues to just pop up on me, and I'm okay with that though. So so I got my tissues ready just in case,
Wait, I have some too. Hold on.
Right, get your tissues. Come on, period, Princess. We ready. We out here.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to cry. Okay.
Right. Yes, we ready. But just to give just a little backstory of how I met Princess. I met her at this event, Empower Her. Yes, Empower Her. With Tyra, and I can't remember the other one.
Crystal, I think. Crystal.
Yes. Anyway, it was an amazing event. Jesus was in the room, right? But it was just, I've never really been in such a setting where everybody was just so loving and so just so grateful of being in the presence of so many beautiful women, just to see all, and different women from different cultures and backgrounds and all this stuff. It was just it was really a beautiful experience. Right. So I stepped out of fear, after, because Princess was a panelist, where she did an amazing job. And I was just like, Nisha, just go and talk to her. Just get her information. Right. And I was like, and I just thanked her, for saying, for speaking her truth, right, and being her. And I thanked her for, just doing, creating a path, right, for all of us women, right? And I was just like, would you like to be on my podcast? And she was like, absolutely, not a problem. Let's link up, let's talk, let's check this out. And she's just, we've been connected ever since. That was last year, in April. So, no, was it this year?
No, it was this year.
This year in April.
I know, but this year has gone by so fast that
it really did. I'm like, wait a second, was that last year? No, that was this year.
This year.
And we've been connected ever since. And as soon as I reached out, she remembered me. Princess was like, yeah, I'm on board. I love what you're doing and all this stuff. And now we're here, right?
And
We're finally at the moment.
faith and you're doing something that's uncomfortable, and it's amazing, and you're sharing people's stories, and you never know when that story is going to touch somebody else. So
Word.
I'm here. I'm an open book. So let's go.
Word.
I'm ready.
Word. Right. So with that being said, right, like I gave y'all all the spiel, right, and all that stuff. So I'm gonna let Princess introduce herself, right? For people who may not know, you, right? Just brag about yourself a little bit, Princess. Tell us a little bit about.
Oh my God, brag. Okay, so I'm Princess Duncanson. I always say a wife and a mom, because I feel like when people say that, they be like, oh, that's not who you are. But that is who I am. I am a wife. I'm coveted under God, and I'm a mother who gave me those children. And besides those two greatest accomplishments that I am also a licensed realtor in the state of New Jersey for the past 7 years. I am an author. I started my own podcast, which I have shaken down, and I'm revamping it. And I've been in prayer with God for what direction He wants me to go into. And I am the CEO of Amira Rose LLC. And I started that basically because I wanted to heal women like me, little girls like me that went through things, that had trauma. And so I'm in the works of a lot of different things that are about empowering, giving back to the community. A lot of my give back that I do, you will not see on social media. You will not see me walking around bragging. You will not see me doing it. I will be doing it in private, because in the Bible it says, do not let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. So it is not for me to brag about giving back to somebody else, but I do a lot of give backs, and I do a lot of things for people behind the scenes and just working on myself. I am a work in progress. Yeah. And so that's me.
I love it for real. And it's interesting that you say that, right? Like doing things in private, because lately I've been like on social media, like on Instagram, like when you have like those Insta stories, like I've been hearing a lot about that, or even like seeing a post, about, everything doesn't have to be, in the public, right? Or in the public eye, right? And sometimes some things you got to do in quiet, right? Because you'll talk yourself out of some stuff, right? When you want to speak too soon, right? Absolutely. You will abort something that God wants you to birth, exactly. But because you are being so quick with speaking about it and you haven't even processed it yourself, you don't execute.
You know what's crazy? So it's two ways that I thought about that. Sometimes you're just excited about doing it, but sometimes you have to understand, am I doing what I'm doing because I want public glory or I want God's glory? And sometimes we're so like, I want the accolades from the people. I want them to clap for me. But if you're truly doing it to serve God, it's going to come. It's going to be ordained. It's going to go. And I'm going to tell you, 2024 has been me and God. You want to fight, you want to tussle? We've been tussling. He has been working on my heart. He's been working on my spirit. He's been like, are you in my word? Are you studying me? And so I think that a lot of times when you see that, you want to, if you're going out there and you're giving back, and maybe you want to just talk about it because you want to include others in giving back as well. Yes. But if you're sharing that and you're making it I don't want to make anybody feel like it's a public spectacle. I want to give back because that's what God told me to do. And I want all of the praise in my life and the things that I do to be a testament to Him, not to me. And that's hard because we want glory too.
Right? Like, praise? For real. Because the like, we're keeping it really real, right? Like, I know for me, validation was huge, right? Like, especially when I felt like when I really started Transparent Moment, right? When I really started, and I'm like, okay, yeah, because I'll be able to get this amount of followers, and then people, they'll start to recognize me and see me, right? And God really had to dismantle that belief system for me, right? Because it didn't do me any good. Like, I wasn't really able to be my authentic self, right? Because I was doing it because, you know what I'm saying? He has given me the permission to be able to birth Unmasking the Covered Me, right? And I know without Him, I would not be able to do all of what I do, like even showing up today. Because if I show up on my own strength, I wouldn't be here.
Neither would I. I ain't even gonna lie. I'd have been like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to go. I'm nervous. I'm anxious. But you make a good point when you said asking God's permission.
Yeah.
I wasn't asking him permission for anything. I was like, I'm going to do. And he let me do. And then he was like, how that working out? And it's not. Okay, no problem. He humbles you quickly.
Like, for real. Right. And this is why I mean, when I was reading your questionnaire, I related to like on so many different levels, right? On so many different things. But the first thing that I want to kind of like just kind of dive into, right? One of the questions that I asked is describe yourself in 3 words, right? And really, as soon as I like saw it, it just popped out to me. And resilient. Right. Like, and that was one of my words in the beginning of the year was resilience. Right. And again, I feel like all the time, like when a word pops out to me, like I always have to go and just kind of read the definition. Right. So I feel like I can allow it to kind of like minister to me a little bit. Right. So that's what I did. I'm like, you know what, let me backtrack again. Let me go back to the basics and let me read what the definition means. Right. So I'm just going to read it off. Right. It says, the capacity of a person to maintain their core purpose and integrity in the face of dramatically changed circumstances. The ability to not only overcome setbacks, but to also move forward. Right. And I mean, what stuck out to me was kind of like those setbacks. Right. Like, because sometimes I was listening to a podcast, and they were kind of talking, I don't remember exactly what they were saying, but they were kind of talking about how, people, when you become like this figure, people then put you on a pedestal, right? Like you don't go through things, right? Like you got it all together and like, you're not going to have a setback. You're not going to have to deal with, different emotions, different feelings, ups and downs, the good, the bad, the ugly. Like we deal with all that stuff, right? So if you can just think about a moment maybe of when you had a setback, how would you speak to that? Like, what was a setback for you that you can think about that you actually had to not necessarily overcome, but work through?
I would say, because the past 5 years of my life have been very, I think a setback for me probably was navigating my son's autism. You have you get pregnant, you're married, you have a baby, and you think that, everything's going to be, the way it's supposed to be. And my son in 2020, in the middle of COVID, in the middle of a lot of chaos within the Black community, a lot of everything was going on, is when my son was diagnosed with autism. He reverted back. He stopped talking. He became recluse, and I had to find my strength. And I don't want to call it a setback because people are like, oh, but yeah, no, that's my kid. I get it, but that wasn't part of my plan.
Yeah.
I didn't plan that. I didn't plan to, he's 7 years old now, but we still have different challenges and things that we're overcoming. He's talking now, but we're talking about emotional intelligence. It's different. He's in a different classroom. He's in a different setting. And I'm always constantly worried and fearful for his life, fearful that he may look like a normal child, but what if he has an outburst and someone doesn't understand that and they look at him differently? So I would say that was one of my biggest setbacks because I didn't expect it. But I definitely had to lean on my faith and lean on God, and then also be resilient and not let that be like, oh, it's going to make or break me. It's going to make or break him. No, it's not. You're going to learn how to speak. I'm going to push you. I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm going to support you, but I'm going to make you come out of your comfort zone. And he's talking today a lot. He has a lot of things to say. Okay. And now we're talking about his emotional intelligence. You can't get mad and hit and scream and yell. You got to take a couple deep breaths, which challenges me to be that example to him.
Wow.
So,
and that's what I was going to ask you too. Like you were, as he was learning, but you were also learning things about yourself that you had to tap in differently too.
Even to this day, I had to realize that, going off and yelling and screaming at my kids, what is that doing for anybody? What example is that setting? So, I get my Bible app out and I'm like, okay, what's a plan I can read to reiterate and get me back to scripture to hold myself accountable? And the one thing that it reiterated was like, we know murder is a sin, but anger is a byproduct of murder. So at the end of the day, if it is hand in hand. So if I'm walking around angry and I'm yelling and I'm screaming, what example am I setting for my children? So it's like in everything that you go through in life, there's a lesson. If you choose to let it be a lesson, you can either be a victim of your circumstances or you can be a virtuous person of your circumstance. And I choose to be the virtuous person. I choose to move forward. I choose to say, God, what is it you're trying to teach me? What can I learn from this situation? So that is a setback in a sense to it wasn't my expectation, but we as a family have grown. My children are very much nurturers of their little brother, very much understanding. And they, we're working with him to get to a point. I mean, a good note is that, he's going to the second grade, but now he's getting ready to be introduced to a first grade math class because he is a whiz at math. That's a blessing. So I choose to live in the blessing and not choose in the current circumstance.
That's good. That's good. And I feel like that's a good segue too, because I know you mentioned in your questionnaire regarding about you going to therapy and then also doing life coaching too as well. Right. Yes. So did that actually start then or was that before?
So I've been doing therapy on and off, I would say for like 12, 13 years. On and off. I've been doing therapy. The life coaching, I actually did it with my older sister, Shelly. She has her life coaching business or executive coaching business, Mosaic Coaching. And when I did that with her is when I actually like dug in, realized my goals, and I published my book. So I did both. But right now I am currently in therapy. I love my therapist. She doesn't play with me at all. And I'm very honest with her. And I think that a lot of times, we live in this social media world and everyone has an image and everyone's portraying an image. But I think being authentic to myself and by being authentic to myself, meaning like stripping myself raw completely and a place to go to where I can be my raw self has been healing for me. I've been doing like my therapist and I have been together for like 3 months now. We meet weekly. Every week we meet once a week. And it's my clearing of my mind because a lot of times I will tell myself things that are not true. And I start believing those false lies. And then when I say it to her, we walk through it and I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I believing the negative? Why can't, as easy as I believe the negative, I can believe the positive?
Yeah, right. That's good. So right, put a pin right there, right? Because I want to go back to that, but I want you to show your book. Can you show your book at the camera? Show people your book. Come on, princess, let's go.
Everything is crooked. Here we go. My book is called Still Standing.
Yes.
And so the song that always plays in my head is I always, like the Monica song, I'm still standing. But besides that, the reason why I really did it, the song that really popped in my head is like, just like a tree planted by the water, I shall not be moved. And so the Monica song is a catchy one, like, the more modern version.
Right.
But I chose the title Still Standing because just like a tree planted by the water, I shall not be moved. And so that's how I think like every single day is like, I remember there was a time I was so depressed. I had to coax myself to get out of bed. I had to be like, step 1, open your eyes. Step 2, okay, you're going to get out the bed. Step 3, like I had to step myself to just doing normal activities. And I was functioning in a lot of dysfunction. A lot of it.
Wow. And so you're pretty much like talking about just your journey itself in your book?
Yeah, so it's a poetry book. I have poetry in there. And in the first, I think like 10, 15 pages, I'm just talking about my life, the things I've been through, different affirmations that I've used to help me. But really, it's my therapy. I got a lot of the things out. Some things, if you read, you're like, oh my gosh, she went through all of that. Everything's not about me. It may have been something that I may have saw or heard or may have experienced a small part of it. And then I created my art and to encompass for more people that have gone through more things that I did.
Nice. So you said it's a poem in there?
No, it's a poetry book. It's multiple poems in here.
Can you read us one? Just one. Give us a snippet, and then I'm gonna make sure, Princess, you got to send me the link.
I will send it to you
because I want to make sure I put it in the comment section after our episode. So if anybody wants to purchase, come on, go out, support Princess in her, in her book. I'm definitely going to purchase one too as well.
Okay, so this one I'm gonna read is called Black Woman. I'll be quick.
Okay.
So it says, to serve and obey, that's the way. I'm sorry, I'm just not built that way. I have a mind of my own, I have something to say. I need you to listen up. I hope your mind is open, I pray. I have feelings, I have needs. I shouldn't have to beg and plead. God made me strong and powerful. To silence my voice would be dreadful. The strength of a Black woman is often sacrificial. The strength of a Black woman is bountiful. Although often criticized by the men we love, we have become ostracized and placed below, not above. Our outspokenness has left us defenseless. The lack of love for Black women is senseless, but the strength of the Black woman is endless. This country was raised on the milk of slaves. Yes, this country is the home of the brave. Underground railroads, hiding food and clothes, raising babies who will often never know how these Black women sacrificed just so you could grow. They are often living in America's shadows. The strength of a Black woman can never be denied, but far too often we are ostracized. We are made to be the enemy of the brothers we love. We are pushing them to excellence because we want them to evolve. My hips, my thighs, the power in my stride, the diversity in our looks. Oh, I know it has you shook. They often try to emulate just to say they can relate. I love who God made me. I no longer will hide. I am a powerful Black woman. Look at her, she has pride. So when I was younger, Lord, why is my mind going blank? I remember reading I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. Mm-hmm. And I remember her poem, Ain't I a Woman? And so when I wrote that poem, I thought about, I wrote it I'm a Black woman. I can only speak, but I just thought about writing it from my mom, writing it from my sisters, writing it for other Black women that we've been through so much in our lives, and we've always taught to be strong, but we're never taught to be feminine. We're never taught to be soft. We're never taught to be gentle. We're taught to be strong. And a lot of people depend on our strength, right? But sometimes we get weak, and I think that I've just been learning how to be okay with being weak and be okay with not being okay. I'm not okay. I'm not having a good day. I'm not okay. And being okay with saying it, but then also knowing to say it with the right people and knowing your tribe. I think in the past, I spent a lot of time being my authentic self with people who never really had my best interests at heart.
Yeah.
And God, I've been using my discernment from God to know where I can really just kind of like vomit everything I'm going through. And then they build me back up.
Yeah. That's good. I told you, didn't I tell you before, Princess? I'm like, when I was reading your questionnaire, I was like, Princess, all in my business. I'm gonna need.
But it's so funny. I felt like I was giving mad vague answers, not vague, but short answers. And I was like, I hope I gave enough information, but I wanted this to just be authentic. Like wherever it flowed, whatever questions you had for me, I want to give you my honest answer, because I'm hoping that my life can be a testimony to somebody else, and they know that, hey, he been through it. I can go through it. I'm going to be okay.
Word. And so, it's funny that you say that, because literally, like I was speaking to one of my sister friends, and I was telling her, like, I'm really having a challenge. Like, I'm like, I think I'm at this point where I'm okay with crying, right? But I was feeling like I really couldn't cry. Like every time I would try to cry, like nothing was really coming out. And I don't know if that was intentional, or I don't know if it was a good or if it was a bad thing. I was like really conflicted a little bit. And then all of a sudden last night, I literally, like, I was watching a video of like one of my old videos, and something I said, it just touched me. And it just started to flow. Like, I mean, the tear, and I couldn't stop it. Right. So, and I'm going to share this, right. Because my family, we're all everybody in my household, we on this unmasking journey. So my husband and I, we're really on this journey. Like it's a whole nother like level of this journey of unmasking with us. Right?
Are we about to get deep? Because girl, we can go there.
Okay, hello, right? And he called me. He like, what you do? He's now, mind you, he in the basement, but I'm upstairs. I'm, getting ready for bed or whatever the case may be. But I still got to come back down so we could get dinner or whatever and all that stuff. And I was just like, I'm just having a moment. Now, usually before I would hide it, right? Because I don't want him to know that I'm crying, right? Because then I don't want him to get upset. So now I'm worried about him, let alone I gotta go through what I need to go through. Yeah. And something just told me, someone was like, no, be honest. Like I said, I'm having a moment and I'm having a release right now. That's what I said. I said, I'm releasing right now. And he's like, well, what are you releasing about? I'm like, I'm just tapping into another level of faith. Right. Like, and because I really didn't know like how to really explain it. All I knew was I needed this moment and it had to happen. Right. And I had to allow myself to have this moment. Right. Absolutely. So I felt it, it was a little uncomfortable, whatever the case may be. And then, so we eat and he's like, well, what's going on? What's going on? And I'm like, I just need a release. And I didn't really know how to communicate to it until this morning. Now, even though after that cry, right, that was the best sleep that I had last night. I had not slept for like days. And then every day for the past like week, I've been waking up with a headache. And that's because I was holding on to something that needed to come out, right? Yes. But I didn't know that I was not releasing what needed to be released. So I said to him when I got up and I said, you know what? Crying it's good for me. Right. Mm-hmm. It allows me to release what I don't need to hold on to. No, crying makes you sick. No, crying doesn't make me sick. Actually, what makes me sick is when I don't cry and I pretend that everything is okay, because I know that it's okay to not be okay. Like, absolutely. I know that it's okay for me not to be okay. And I'm okay with that. Right. So when I cry, right, sometimes you don't even have to say anything. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to do anything. Just allow me to have that moment, right? And then even after that moment, you can give me a hug, right? Like, give me that reassurance, right? And the crazy thing is, like, I felt like I would have never really been able to be honest before like that, because it, for me, it's like, because I don't want to cause any conflict. But it was like, he actually was able to hear me. And he was like, you know what? I get it. I understand. Right. And it made me feel like, wow, I was able to create a space for myself.
I was going to say you had to create space, and you said it. Yes.
I had to create a space for myself. Right. So then I can welcome him into my space.
Yep.
Right. And it not be any conflict or any argument, or, you know what I'm saying? Or you thinking that it's about you when it's not about you, and you're not hearing me out. Like, it was none of that. It was us being able to communicate, like, I'm going through something, I'm processing it right now, right? And you gotta allow me to be able to get this out.
Absolutely.
So when you say it's okay not to be okay, I'm like, huh.
No, I mean, listen, first of all, I think sometimes as women, when we tend to be like rah, 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 it comes across like we're angry, and we're definitely not angry. We are overwhelmed mentally, and I don't think that, and I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
I don't think for me, I've ever really seen a healthy marriage within my structure. I've never seen a marriage of not to be the quarrelsome wife. And I used to read that scripture in Proverbs and be like, and what you mean a quarrelsome wife? Like, how you gonna talk about? But then I thought about it, because I'm just like, God made man, God made woman. And is it for us to always be rah, rah, rah? Or is it for us to go into our feminine nature, say what we have to say, but then let God do the work? Because a lot of times what we want to do, we want to fix him. I remember talking to my husband, Lord, I hope he's not mad I'm going to say this. I remember talking to my husband, and I said to him, I was like, but when I got with you, I just wanted to heal you. And he said, but that's not your place to heal me. He said, that's God's place. I was like, oh. I thought I had to fix you. I thought I had to be the everything and end all, because I just wanted to make you. No, he said, that's not your place. That was not your place. And the more and more I've been reading, like when I tell you that I am me in the Bible plan, okay, I'm on like the 31-day whatever Bible plan I can read, I'm gonna read it, because I don't know the constructs of marriage within God. I don't know the constructs of parenting in God. I don't know the constructs of being in God. And I just want to live my life for him. And I think that when we do it the right way, and we do it with love, and we do it with joy and happiness, every day will not be perfect.
Right.
However, we have to understand that even when we're yelling and screaming at our kids, we're yelling and screaming at people, we going off on people, no one's hearing you. All they're seeing is your behavior. So what you did is you had your cry, you articulated yourself perfectly, and then there was no more to say, and then you processed it. So the next day he was able to process it, and you were able to process it. So the next day, so like that, I think is so amazing, and that's growth. And life is about growth. Life is about growing, and life is about saying, hey, I'm not okay. Like I've been so honest with my girlfriends, like I'm not really having a good day today. Like someone texted me like 3 weeks ago and it was like, oh, I'm just checking on you. I hope you're having a good day. I said, to be honest, I'm not. I said, and the old me would have lied and said, oh, girl, yeah, I'm having a great day. I hope you're having a great day too. I was like, I'm not having a great day. I said, but your text made me feel seen. It made me feel loved. And it reminded me that God uses people to touch others.
That's good. That's good.
Where I am right now. I don't want to lie anymore. I don't want to pretend. I don't want to show up and be fake and phony. And I get it. You still have to show up for people. And it's okay. Like even with my children, I tell my kids, mommy's in therapy. I have my therapy session tonight, and I'm not a perfect parent. I've made a lot of mistakes. I'm very apologetic to them. I'm very trying to be in tune with how they feel, because how do I know that everything I say and do is right? I don't.
Right. That's so good. That's so good. And then it's like that, you know, again, it goes back to just peeling back those layers and then changing, right? And deprogramming yourself from what you thought was right.
Yeah.
What really wasn't right. Right. And it just kind of, I'm like skipping all around. I'm like, I
feel like we sit on the couch just having a regular conversation. I'm like,
but that's what is. So this is what this is all about, right? Like this is what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be us being able to really just kind of like just talk out, you know what I'm saying, what we go through, right? Like, and really be real about it. Be real, be authentic, be honest, right? But most importantly, show up to be you, right? Like this is me, uncut. You know what I'm saying? This is just what it is.
I know.
Right?
And I mean, I put on a pretty dress because I wanted to look nice. But I should have kept on what I had before. You'd have been like, girl, why you look like that? Because I was cooking and I was cleaning and I was working and I was doing things. But I just think that 2024 has been an immensely powerful year of growth for me. And I am thankful, and I'm going to say it. And if you don't like it, don't follow me. Don't talk. All power to God. Because where I was prior to and trying to get the approval of people and man, and where I am today, it has nothing to do but God. And God started working on me at the end of 2023. And God was like, not for you, not for you. But I'm like, but not for you. I'm going to strip you all the way down and I'm going to build you back up. And I'm not saying that the builder phase is easy. Sometimes I'll be mad, like ready to like, Father, let's have a moment. Let's talk. But that's where I am right now. And I just think that I've been, saying like you, giving yourself space to just not be okay, but then not living in the okay. I feel like it's so crazy because they said, the thoughts that protrude in our head are more negative than positive. You have to really work on the positive. And then it hit me one day. I'm like, I believe the negative thoughts so quickly. The minute they pop in my head, I believe them. Why can't I give that same power to the positive ones?
Right.
Why am I so quick to believe that I'm not good enough? I'm not smart enough. I'm not going to be successful and believe all that. Why can't I believe that I am smart? I am successful. I am powerful. Why can't I believe that? Yeah. And that's what I've been working on.
And that's good. And good that you say that, right? So what are some of the things, or maybe, some of the tools that you use from your toolbox, right? To kind of deprogram yourself from that thought process. Like how do you work through those things?
So my Bible, I read my Bible every single day. I journal every single day. I make a note of reading scripture, and then I have my Bible has like a summary at the bottom. So I read the summary as well, and journal in the morning. I journal at night. And honestly, my Bible app, like I know it sounds crazy. People are like, oh my God, Bible, God. Okay, well, I'm gonna tell you something. That is what got me through it. If it's not for you, whatever you need to do, meditation, listening to positive audiobooks, things about, being a good person, having a spirituality, understanding that your soul is everlasting, and just really working on me in therapy. Really, like I'm trying to tell people that therapy, if you have insurance, if you do not have insurance, if you have Medicare, Medicaid, you can get therapy.
I'm telling you, therapy plus Jesus. Oh goodness, I forgot. It was something. I have a T-shirt. I gotta find it. Oh my God, but it's.
I know. I've seen it. I've seen it before. Like therapy, but like yes, and I just think that sometimes the older Black church was just like, all you need is God, and yes, you do, but you need to go to therapy, and if your therapist has prescribed medication for you, you should take your medication as well. Like it's okay. Like do what you do what you need to do to be the best version of yourself, and eliminate people, places, and things that no longer serve where you're trying to go in your life. It's gonna hurt. It's a lonely journey. But you're gonna have to do what you have to do if you're trying to get to being the best version of who you want to be.
Word. Which, oh my goodness, it's so good, right? Because you had mentioned one of the questions I asked, what are you most grateful for through your unmasking process, right? And what really kind of stuck out to me is when you said, my relationship with God and really becoming who God wants me to be. And I'm sitting there, right? Because I'm reading your questionnaire, and I'm like, that's a really good question, right? So I had to actually like pause and like take a moment for myself, and I'm like, Naisha, who does God want you to be? Like, who does he want you to be? Right. And really what hit me, what I always say, nothing all deep and, because I know before I'm like, I want it to be good. I want it to be grand. Right. Like, no.
Just get to it. What is it?
I want you to be your authentic self.
Really?
Like, just be your authentic self. And I'm like, and that's what I've been saying the whole time. I'm like, be real, be honest, but most importantly, be you.
Be the version of you that feels good. Don't be the version of you that fits into boxes or fits into circles. If you can't show up as yourself, and if people can't accept you when you're high and when you're low, oh well. Please, what did it say? Leave me alone. It's okay.
Right.
It's fine. I mean, you don't have to be like, just leave me alone.
Word.
Because I think for so long, I definitely was a people pleaser. I mean, I had, let's get with it. I have abandonment issues. I didn't have the greatest relationship with my father. And before him and I, I'm going to say this and then I want to.
Okay.
I didn't have the greatest relationship with my father. And before him and I could ever have an amazing, terrible relationship. I mean, amazing relationship while he was living. My dad died when I was 16. Mm-hmm. So through my healing process, I have been getting to know my dad post-mortem. I've been getting to forgive him and talk to him and love the greatest parts about him, and also, the relationship with my mom is different, just trying to, I think for so long, I looked at my mom as a mom and I held her accountable as a mom, and I never looked at her as a woman. She is a woman. She is a woman, and she has done the best that she can do. And speaking to my therapist, she said, okay, so you're telling me all this other stuff. What you seem to be a pretty amazing person right now. I was like, yeah. She goes, so I think your mom did some things right. I said, you know what, she did. And it's all about forgiveness. Yeah. And I used to get so angry because my mom, growing up, she used to be like, forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. What you mean?
Right.
Forgiveness is like, no. Forgiving that other person has nothing to do with them.
Nothing.
It has everything to do with you and your release and your heart and your peace and your joy.
Yep.
It's so crazy growing up and saying the sayings that my mom said.
Right.
Acting like her, like if you're going to do it, then do it right. Ugh.
Right.
Getting on my kids about ironing their clothes. When I grew up, I used to never want to iron my clothes. I'm like, you just going to go out there wrinkled? Let me iron them clothes. And I'm like, who am I turning into? So shout out to my mom. Hey, Jean.
Hey, Jean. Shout out to Princess's mom. My
goodness. My mom did an amazing job. I have to give that to her. I give her a very hard time. I hold my mom accountable. And even at my mom's big tender age of 79, she'll be 80 this year.
Wow.
My mom is still growing, and I'm very, very, very proud of her. And I think that a lot of times we just want to hold our parents to this hierarchy and this stake. And like, honey, how many mistakes have we made right now as parents? How much trauma our kids gonna have to deal from when we get older? So it's just about grace and mercy.
And I really appreciate that, right, what you're saying, that because I feel like that's where I am with my mom. I'm in a season of like looking at her, and it's a process that I'm going through. Right. And I'm in a season of looking at her as a woman, right, and not just my mother, right? Because yes, she fell short, right? She didn't do everything right, right? There was some things that really, really hurt, right, me to the core, and that I still am, you know what I'm saying, unpacking and unveiling, right, and uncovering and forgiving, right? But I'm really learning to really just take a step back and just look at my mom, Desiree. Big shout out to my mom, Desiree.
Hey, Ma. Hey, Desiree.
Right?
Mama Desiree. We don't call people by their first name.
Right.
Even to this day, a big old almost 40, I'd be like, hello, Miss So-and-so.
Yes. I do that too at work sometimes, and oh my goodness, the older woman, they're like, "Don't call me Miss Thing," and I'm like, it's just out of respect. I'm sorry. Yes. I'm sorry. I don't mean no harm. But yes, really looking at and I feel like that's what's helping me. That's what's helping me with this forgiveness, right? Like real forgiveness, because what I was doing before was kind of like surface layer, right? Like it wasn't real. It wasn't authentic. I was doing it because this is what I'm supposed to do, right? Like as a Christian, but not really being authentic in my forgiveness. Right. So now I'm able to look at my mom as a woman, right? Because I am a woman and I'm a mother and I'm a wife, right? And I go through things and I don't get it right. And I'm like, ooh, got it. I got it.
I want to add a nugget, something that I've been realizing. You're not going to always be right. Be woman enough to apologize and validate the feelings. Doesn't mean that you always agree. You just say, I apologize because I did X, Y, and Z. And I'm validating. I hear what you're saying. I may not always agree with what you're saying, but I want you to know you're heard. Most people just want to be heard.
Yes.
They don't want you to always agree with them. They just want to know that what they said to you meant something.
Yeah.
And that you heard them. And although you may not agree, but they're heard. And I'm just like, working on that. Even my mom, I have to validate her feelings. There's a lot of things that her and I have to unpack and talk about. And I've never really validated because I'm like, but you the mom. Hello, I'm a big old grown woman. Like, enough. I can't keep going back to what my mama said and did and my daddy did. Yeah. Like, I had to forgive both of them. Like, I had to really forgive my father to release that anger that I had towards him.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. I mean, we relate in so many on so many different levels, the same thing with my dad too, as well. Like, just so it's crazy because I always say this. I was just having a conversation with somebody, like, when you begin to really be open about, what you have gone through, what maybe you're going through, you begin to realize that you're really not alone.
No.
You're really not alone at all. Like, there's so many people that can relate to, it may not be the same thing, but they can relate to your story, right? And it's like, wow, if we only just begin to kind of like open up a little bit more and talk out and not suppress and not hold back and not internalize, like, this world will probably be a better place.
It really would. And if we just gave people empathy, not sympathy, just empathize with them.
Yes.
Yeah, I empathize with what you're going through. I'm still going to hold you accountable, but just giving people empathy. Yeah. And then realizing that one way is not always the right way. And that's what I'm working on. Like, it's so freeing just being myself. And it's not perfect every day. I don't wake up every day like, oh, I got it together. Some days I don't. Okay. I had to Monday to Tuesday, I was doubting myself. I said, I'm not good enough. I'm failing. I had got lost in the art of comparison. That is an enemy. It comes to steal, kill, and destroy. I was comparing myself like, why not me? I had to be like, no, stop. And I was like, I got so stuck in my feelings. Feelings are deceiving. Feelings are deceiving. Yes, they're there to protect you, but they are deceiving sometimes because you get wrapped up in your feelings. You start creating a story around the feelings, and it's not logical. It's not thinking with multiple parts. And I had to realize that, but like, my feelings are hurt, my feelings. And I'm just like, well, wait a minute, girl. It's like I had to slap myself in the face when I was driving. I was telling myself, I was like, what's wrong with you? Like, really? And I was like, wow, like, but that's how I know, without having that relationship with God, without knowing scripture, without having his word in me, through me, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I still would have been in that depression. I suffer with depression. You never stop suffering with it. I have been on depression medication. I'm no longer on it. Grace be to God with therapy. Yes. But I took depression medication for a long time. I had postpartum depression with my son. He was 10. So I started taking the medication when he was 10. He's 10 years for 10 years. I just stopped taking it maybe within like the past 8 months.
Wow.
But I had to do what I had to do to make me be able to function. But it takes you really taking care of yourself, like pushing yourself. Like sometimes I don't want to get up and go to the gym. And sometimes I go to the gym, and I was just making a joke with my trainer on Instagram. And I'm like, I be going to the gym, and I just be there like walking on the treadmill, doing some machines. But I got up and I showed up. And I pushed myself past a limitation, which I thought I had on myself.
Yeah. Wow. It's crazy because, right, you never know what somebody going through, right? Like I would have never known that you was on, you know what I'm saying, medication. And right. And I feel like, especially in our culture, in the African-American culture, right? Like, first of all, people don't like to go to therapy, right? Because they feel like, don't nobody know me better than me. But that's the problem.
You don't even know you. Hello.
That's the problem.
Right? Narratives that ain't even true.
Right. Right. So yes, you do. You need to go sit down and kind of talk and unpack some stuff, right? That you don't even realize that you need to unpack. Right. But understanding that sometimes, like, if you have to take medication, like, that doesn't mean that, you know what I'm saying, that makes you a failure. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to thrive or succeed or, you know what I'm saying, continue to move forward to your best self. Like, that doesn't mean anything, but that means, what it actually means is that you love yourself enough to say that I need help.
Thank you. That's self-love. Self-love is saying, hey, I need help. Self-love is saying, I'm not okay. Self-love is saying, I may have a substance abuse problem. Self-love is saying, I want to do better for me. Self-love is saying, I don't want to be here anymore. That's self-love. It's not buying things. It's not going on lavish trips, which I do think a nice lavish trip is right. But it's about doing the inner work. And that's not easy. I'm sorry. I'm going to probably wake up in 2 days and be like, oh, but then I got to grab myself together and continue.
Yes. And that's okay. That's okay if you have to, you know what I'm saying, if you have a moment and you got to grab yourself and be okay with that, like having that moment. And I'm like, all right, come on. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not going to stay stuck.
It says that, why are people so afraid of failure? You got to be okay to fail. You got to, because how you ever going to learn? How you ever going to come back? I think I was listening to 50 Cent's book, The Get Rich or Die Trying. He was like, mad people, you have to fail. You are not going to be successful 100% of the time. Word. You have to be okay with failing. You have to take failing as, wow, okay, I failed. Okay, good. I tried. I failed. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? Yeah. And that's why I'm just like, okay, I'm revamping my podcast. It's not, I had a lot of great interviews. I did a lot of great things with it. I'm very successful. I was very, successful with the people that I was able to interview. I'm very thankful for that. However, I didn't feel like it was aligned with what God wanted. So I said, okay, let me take a step back.
Yeah.
Was it a failure? I don't know. Maybe it would have been, maybe it is, but it's okay. I'm okay with that being a failure because I know that I'm going to come back even stronger. Yeah. And it's going to be ordained under what God wants, not what Princess wants.
Word. And what comes to my mind is my spiritual father. I remember he had me write it on a Post-it. This was like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, that failure is not final.
Ooh,
right? It's not. That. Failure is not final. And then also one of my sisters in Christ too as well, she always speaks so highly about this book. And I can't remember the author who wrote it, but it's called Failing Forward.
Okay, I heard of that. I did hear that.
Right? And it's like, yeah, okay, so even though, you know what I'm saying, you did all those great things in that season for the podcast, but now it's time to evolve to something different and something else, right? And the greatest thing is that you were willing to acknowledge that and now continue to put one foot in front of the other and put action behind your yes that you've given to him.
Absolutely. And I'm like, okay, God, like I was like, there's some things I want to do with it. I'm waiting on you. And when those things come to me, I'm going to write them down, then I'll implement them. But until then, I won't move. And I think that's the part that is a little uncomfortable, is the waiting in between. His yes and your yes. It's so uncomfortable because you're like,
where
you at? Because I'm ready. And he's like, okay, but I didn't say yes yet. And I'm like, oh.
God, oh my goodness, there's so many things that's dropping in my spirit right now. I remember writing down, how are you waiting in your wait?
Ooh. Yeah.
Right.
Why we like a line? Like, I love that. How are you waiting in your wait? How are you waiting miserably? Are you waiting patiently? Are you waiting deeply rooted in God, knowing that when that time comes, it will be what it will be? I think we need to do a part 2.
Come on, princess. Come on.
I'm being honest. I mean, there's so many things that I want to do. I'll tell you this right now. Tabitha Brown said, work on your dash. What's that dash? Ooh. And I'm just like, and she's right. Work on your dash. What's my dash going to be? Is it going to be pleasing to God? Is it going to be pleasing to me? Is it going to be what I want it to be? It's like so many. I'll say this real quick. As a realtor, the Black family has the highest divorce rate, and we own homes. Our percentage of owning homes is less.
Yeah. And
it hit me. I believe, and I don't know, people can get mad, put comments. Okay, this is my opinion.
Right. Disclaimer.
So I feel like, and we also have the lowest wealth gap. And when you have a 2-parent household go to a single-parent household and you're divorced and you're breaking up, then your wealth is automatically divided, for one. For two, we have had so much trauma as a Black community that it's very hard in a marriage to understand how to heal if we're not going to therapy, if we're not being honest. A lot of us were raised by single Black moms. So now you have a son being raised by a single Black mom. You have a daughter being raised by a single Black mom. And all we're taught is to be what? Independent. And we got, if you ain't going to do it, then I'm going to do it. And that's just the truth, because you had to be strong. My mom was a single mother. We lived we moved around. We lived in Jersey City, and there was times that my mom worked 2 jobs. I'm thinking about my kids. I'm home with them. I'm making sure they pick up them from school. Man, I remember when I was in the 5th grade, when we lived in Union, I was at Central 5. I used to walk home from school in the 5th grade. And now I'll be like tracking my kids in high school. Where are you? On the app. So I just think back to the level of independence that I had to have. And sometimes I'm trying to raise my kids the same way, and I don't have to. Why do they have to have that level of independence? Why do they have to have that level of stress? Why? Should they be responsible? Absolutely. But if I could pick them up from school, I'm going to pick them up.
Right.
If they want to go somewhere, I'm going to take them. I just keep thinking about so many things that I've been through and not feeling that because I went through it, that my kids have to go through it too.
Right.
It was okay for me. So no, it's not okay for them. Right. How am I going to break cycles if I'm continuously giving them the things because I went through it? It's okay. It's not.
Gotta dismantle that, some of those things that we've learned, or that we had to endure, or that we had to go through, right? Our children, they don't have to go through that, right? Like, they don't have to go through having a muzzle on their mouth. Like, no, you can speak up. It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Who are you? You got cameras in my house? Okay. I let my kids speak their mind. I say, okay. I say, you can say whatever you want to say as long as you say it with respect. Speak your mind. Say what you have to say. I encourage it. Now, is it uncomfortable with some people in my family? A little bit like, did they? Yeah, they did. And when they write, I'm like, you're right. I agree with you. I was wrong. I apologize.
Yep. And you know what? I didn't always have the apology part right until just recently, right? And I realized the reason why I really wasn't able to apologize is because when my child or my children was coming to tell me something, I reverted back to a child. So it wasn't the parent that was standing in front of my child, it was the child standing in front of the child. So now I'm learning to really continue to parent Naisha, little Naisha, right? So now little Naisha can be the woman Naisha. So then the woman Naisha can then show up for her children in a healthy way.
I love this. I love all of this. I feel like we're going to have some good conversations after this because my brain is like, bing, 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 bing. But honestly, as women, we need this safe space.
Yeah.
You know, we need a space where we can come and speak our truths and have places that we can do. So I have some ideas when we finish that we literally be aligned this whole call. And I'm being on anybody that's watching. I promise you, my questionnaire was very like to the point. It was just
it was very.
I didn't tell her any of these things. It's just an alignment, and I love when God's alignment is what it needs to be.
And you know, and I feel like sometimes everybody is unique. Everybody is different, right? Like all my guests, everybody is so different. Like some of my guests, you know, they'll give me 1 or 2 words. Some of them give me a whole paragraph, right? Almost a whole. I'm like, you should have just wrote a book. Like you gave me from soup to nuts.
Tell them to write the book then. Write the book, whoever did that.
Come on, let's go. Write the book. Y'all know who you are, who's supposed to be writing that book.
Okay.
But everybody is different. But what I can say and what I can speak to is all my guests have been very authentic, have been very, you know what I'm saying, like very themselves. Like nobody was trying to, feed me fluff or feed me like what I felt like I wanted to hear or what sound good or what would sound good if I say it right or it looks good on paper, right? Like, but then I can't really speak to it. So I feel like that's such a blessing in itself. Right. So when I was reading your questionnaire, I was like, wow, like it was so in alignment with some down to the things of like what I'm even like dealing with now. Right. And the journey that I'm on, the continuing healing journey that I'm on as well. So it was truly in alignment. And I'm like, the time always goes by so fast. My father, he put me up for a challenge next season. He's like, you know what? You need to do at least like an hour and 30 minutes. Stop making it just an hour. I'd be waiting for more. I'm
okay, like, hey, Daddy.
I'm like, all right, Dad.
No, listen, I think I'm down with a part 2. I just feel like you made a good point about all your guests have been authentic to themselves. I think a lot of times we deal with imposter syndrome. I'll tell you this, my transparency. I used to do a prayer call called Still Standing and Prayed Up. And I stopped the prayer call because I felt like, who was I to think that I could bring women together and pray over them? And as I've been reading the Bible, I mean, Saul turned into Paul. I mean, people in prison writing scriptures. I said, well, who am I to say that God can't use me? And I had to snatch myself up real quick and be like, so I'm just going to stop using his word because I'm not 100% perfect. How do I know that he's not using me? Because guess what? Maybe I'm showing up as my authentic self is going to bring and draw more people to him. Jesus wasn't just in the church. He was everywhere. And so I just had to get into my word and realize that he's using me, and I have to be okay with being used, and I have to be okay with being vulnerable. And I cannot let the imposter syndrome stop me from doing what he's telling me to do, and that anybody can spread the word of God. If you listen to DMX, I promise you, I have been like watching videos on him in tears because like his song, one of the songs, I think, Lord help me now. Tell me what I gotta do. And I listened to it. I found like, young, you listen, but I listened to the words and I was like, yo, he was preaching God's word for somebody that needs to hear it.
Yep. In his community, and whoever his following was, whoever looked, you know what I'm saying, at him and was able to see the God in him, right? That's who he was calling, right? Like we're all, and this is why God uses us uniquely in our own way, right? Like, and at the end of the day, like I will never get upset because, Princess has a podcast, right? Princess podcast is different from my podcast. But at the end of the day, we all, have the same common goal, right? And that's, first of all, to be better versions of ourselves, to be authentic, right? But to draw more people to him. That's what it's about, right? So why can't I promote her? Why can't I promote your book? Why can't I promote your podcast? Right? Because
Absolutely.
it brings something different.
And that's the thing, is like, I think a lot of times we just get so caught up in like, if I support this person, then it's going to get taken away from me. And so, listen, I'm going to support you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for seeing something in me that you thought would be of value to your audience. Yeah. Anytime I speak, I mean, I always feel like, did I do a good job? Did I speak from? But I always speak from my heart. I'm always going to be myself. I'd be like, God, use me. Sometimes I don't even remember what I said, because God didn't talk through me. I was like, what did I say? I don't even remember.
Right. That's how you know. That's how you know Holy Spirit had activated. Because right, when you don't remember what you said, you know that it came from a genuine place.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, yeah. So I am down for a part 2. Definitely. I thank you so much for your willingness, and you know what I'm saying, even with juggling with mommy and all the other hats that you was wearing before jumping on and coming on and just being willing from the first moment we met, right? Absolutely. Like it was it's a beautiful thing, and I'm happy with the connection. I'm thankful and grateful for the connection too as well. So I cannot let us go though without doing your hashtag. Do you remember what your hashtag was?
I think still standing.
Yeah. Yes, it was. So I need everybody who is watching, or if you're going to rewatch the rebroadcast, right, make sure you drop hashtag still standing in the comment section.
And go follow me, please.
Yes, please.
Please follow me at the Duncanson group. You see it on there, the way my last name is spelled, the Duncanson group. And then just look for Princess Duncanson _ Amira Rose. Follow me there. One is mainly focused on real estate, and the other is just me being me. I would say follow the podcast, but I am currently in the process of revamping it and seeing wherever God leads me with that. So you will be the first to know when everything is up and running.
Perfect. And I will make sure that I definitely, share too as well. I am going to make sure that I do drop your book though in the comment section.
Yes. If you go to princessduncanson.com, you can actually order it on my website. I mean, you can go to Amazon, you can go to BookBaby, of course, but those proceeds part of that goes to them. Right. If you order directly from me, it goes to me, and I will be able to ship you your book, and you get to get a little bit more insight into me. Maybe awesome. God has been working on me with doing book number 2, so we'll see.
Oh, Princess, that's it. Drop mic. Episode over. Okay.
All right. I want to do episode number 2, and I think when I do it, I would love for us to do it on my podcast, because I want to get to know you more.
Awesome. I'm down. I'm definitely down. So I want to thank everybody for joining. I appreciate everybody. I really, really do. Thank y'all so much for all your love, all your support. It doesn't go unnoticed. I really, really do appreciate y'all. So, Princess, if you could just think of one word, not one word, just an encouraging word, right? To the people, what would that be?
Don't let yourself talk yourself out of things that God puts in you. Even though you may not think that you are qualified, the one thing I know for sure is that God calls the unqualified to be qualified. And whoever you are supposed to be, whoever your message is for, your community, is needed for them. Believe in yourself.
That's it, and that's all. All right, y'all. Good night.
Good night, guys.
Good night. Be safe, y'all. It's a storm coming.
I know, right?
See y'all.
Bye.